And finally, I get started here, my long-awaited debut into YouTube. My name is Gaff196, or John if you so prefer. I don't mind if you call me by my human name. It's okay. This is just the introduction video here. There's not going to be any gameplay in this video, really. I might tool around a little bit, but other than that, it's just going to be an explication on my mission statement and some goals, and me delineating some other features, my setup. I'll give you some tech specs if you so desire, and a rough indication of what I'm going to be doing and in what order. If we get some people working here, and I haven't marketed this or tried to push out my YouTuber, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube. I'm going to wait till I have probably my whole Rogue Legacy playthrough finished, till I start putting it out there. And then after that, maybe try to get some people to check me out. So in this very, very liminal stage, any one of my videos, don't feel the need to like, comment, subscribe sort of YouTube. Again, this is for fun. Views are the only metric that really needs to go up. Not needs, but not. It's like, hey, it's a decent amount of views. So let me start off with my name. Why Gaff196? Well, because Gaff by itself was taken. Gaff32 was taken. Gaff36 was taken. Gaff48 was taken. And those are my three favorite numbers in order. So I just picked Gaff196. I said, you know what? I'm just going to pick a random number that's even, because odd numbers make me uncomfortable. I don't know why. It's like the same kind of thing where the volume on your TV has to be the right thing. Like, you can't have it on 57. It's got to be on 56, right? Or 58. But 57 is like, ugh. Well, let me start off with the anecdote about what Gaff means. And it's not terribly interesting or potent or inspiring. It's just a little thing, a shimmer of nostalgia from high school that kind of evolved into something that just sort of stuck. The word gaff means a blunder or a mistake. So it's very fitting as a person who is a perfectionist in games and in a lot of things. And perfectionism is not a good thing. Perfectionism is a bad thing. It's a facet of neurosis. And it makes you dissatisfied with anything less than perfection, which sounds like, oh, that's a reasonable trait to have, and it's I wouldn't call it crippling, but it is. It feels like a deficiency. So, but it feels fitting for me, being able to identify any and every mistake. But I don't put the time in enough of a lot of things to be perfect at them, so it's immediately frustrating. Things come quickly to me, but things don't come perfectly quickly to me. Gaff originated in high school. We were 4 kids playing D&D and No More Heroes. And, as kids are wont to do, you just, you have jokes. We were like 16, 17, probably around 17 at the time. Just hanging out, palling around. And as inside jokes are wont to go, they have a relatively limited lifespan. And we always knew, all right, time to cool off that joke, and then we'll make a new one, or something else funny will happen. We'll get through it. So at one point, gaff just became a really funny word to say, and we were all dumbass idiots. And so gaff was really funny. Every time we heard gaff, we were just like cry laughing. And it's not because, again, it was funny. It's just anything was a gaff because anything was kind of a mistake. It's almost hard to explain. Honestly, it kind of just shivers there in my memory. I barely really remember the manifestation of it. I just remember my friend's cat trying to go from a coffee table to the back of his couch, and in a very uncat-like way was inordinately clumsy about it, and his cat fell. Landed on her feet, but fell. And then someone, I don't think it was me or anything. Someone was just like, oh, that was a gaff. And then with a lot more inflection and enthusiasm and humor inflating it, and we all just kind of lost it. Like I said, it's not a terribly inspiring story. So, the time when that happened, this transpiring at all, Super Smash Bros. Brawl had come out, so I guess I was 18. Yeah, because that came out in, 2008? So, Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, and I just picked up Gaff as my tag. Just because it happened to be convenient. You only had 5 characters to work with. So I said, alright, Gaff. And then I reasoned it as, it's easy to make mistakes, so Gaff it is. And that's kind of where I landed on that whole thing. And now I've just kind of kept it as a Smash tag ever since. In Smash 4 I used it as my tag, and in Smash Ultimate I'll also use it as my tag. So let me go with a mission statement. I'm reading off of a little script here I wrote up. Not directly, but just little footnotes and bullet points that I want to hit. So the mission statement of this entire channel is, for the most part, it's going to be 100% achievement runs and challenge runs. Challenge runs of games that I've probably already beaten, and 100% runs. I reset a lot of my 100% achievement runs because that's what I used to do. I used to be like a completionist in that sense. Not 100% completion, because that's like if you play Banjo-Tooie, for example, and get every note and every honeycomb and everything like that, it's way too much. It's just a collect-a-thon, and those are not generally appealing games. That's why I had no particular fondness for Yooka-Laylee, despite that it was kind of designed to be where Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie left off. And just kind of the rare 64 generation as a totality. I like 100% achievements, particularly of difficult games. This first game I play will be the first game that I ever 100%ed with any sense of deliberation, and that will be Rogue Legacy. I've already done it 100%, however, recently it's come out with an update after 4 long years of hiatus, now bringing it up to rough parity with the Xbox version. And this comes with a few things that are bad and and mostly things that are just quality of life improvements. The game is still a glitchy mess, but it's an incredibly fun and mechanically sound game. However, it lacks polish in certain areas, and there's a lot of glitches and exploits, and indeed I'll use them. We'll get more into that when I get into that playthrough. I'm also interested in, like I said, in doing challenge runs of games. Like 100% achievements, even redoing it is a way for me to re-experience and enjoy the game. This game, for example, Rogue Legacy, I'm very knowledgeable about. I know a lot about it and how to deal with it. I understand the inner mechanics of it pretty well, even the coding, some of it. I'll be playing a lot of games that I've beaten already before 100%. And I'll also be playing some games, I want to say semi-blind or non-blind, because even if I play a game that I've never played before, I'll still have to look at the 100% achievements to get an idea of what I'm working for. Because that's how I play it. 100% achievements, it adds a layer of objectivity to games for me. It might seem silly or arbitrary, but I find solace in a couple of aspects of it. Rather than just beating a game, it gives you a semblance of mastery. This is what the devs consider to be difficult, or like in indie games generally, as laborers of love, you'll get a lot more out of the achievements than you would out of some AAA game. Most of the time. But yeah, obviously it's not the most ideal thing, but it's what I happen to like doing, specifically hard games. Games that are conventionally considered difficult, because I am a piece of human garbage, and I like doing things that are considered difficult. I find it to give me a personal surfeit of satisfaction. So, I was thinking about doing, like, alternating between difficult and then casual, or much more chill. And I don't refer to people as casuals or things as casual, but I do identify difficulty between casual and difficult. I was thinking so for an example, I might do 100% Cuphead achievements, and then I might do Fallout New Vegas 100% achievements. Just hard or conventionally considered difficult, and then into something that's not considered difficult but fun. New Vegas is my favorite Fallout, so I definitely intend to do it on here. Cuphead as well. Also, speaking on 100% achievement games, I want to play games that I think have very little chance to be updated with achievements ever. So even though it sounds a little sad, a big facet of me doing this is to chew through my massive backlog of Steam games. And not in a sad way, but it's like, okay, once I'm done with the game and I've done everything I can with all the achievements, I'm like, okay, it's time to uninstall. Maybe I'll reinstall it later, but make room for new games. This is for fun. It's not me trying to make any money here. You know, I have a full-time job. I'm not I'm not opposed to trying to monetize it down the line a little bit if it ever manages to blow up, which is tremendously unlikely. But if, I don't know, we had a small community, I wouldn't make like a Patreon or a Ko-Fi or something. Never begging for money. All of my content will always be free. But maybe I could figure out some reward tiers. But that's far in the future, if ever. Mostly this is just because I find it fun to do. So, now I'm going to just give you a little bit of info about my specs and my gear. I have 4 PCs. I have a PC and 3 laptops. And I'm just giving you an idea of what all the gear I have in case I ever have to use one over the other, and maybe I'm traveling or something. It does happen. So, I name all my computers too. It's cringy, but I don't care what you think. My first one is my PC. This is Astrid. It's a custom mid-range PC. Builder up. Computers are just adult Legos. As long as you apply your thermal paste right, you're fine. It's got a Radeon RX 580 8 gig. It's a pretty solid mid-range graphics card, just below the highest tier. It should be capable of. I just wanted to get something that could play The Witcher at max setting, Witcher 3 at max settings with no problem whatsoever. And indeed, I have that. It's got a Ryzen 5 1600, which is an okay CPU. I've got a 450 watt power supply, which is meh, but it was very cheap at the time. My case is a Masterbox Light Case 5 RGB. I've got 16 gigs of DDR4 Patriot 2400 megahertz. Sorry, megahertz. No, it's not megahertz. What am I talking about? It's hertz, regular hertz. It's 2.4 megahertz. It's decent, man. 16 is all you really need, even on a PC. Even if I were to go into streaming, like on Twitch, which maybe if I ever got the time or this really blew up, I would consider doing that. But in this still very, very incipient stage, that's not even on the plate right now. My monitor is an SBO Acer. It's about 22 inches. It's a decent size, but I would like to up to like a 28 or something. I have some stuff on my Amazon wish list that I'll get around to buying eventually. It's full HD, so it's 1920 by 1080. 4 millisecond response time, 75 hertz, and I've got a really powerful HDMI connected to it that can handle like 4K at 120 hertz. It's IPS instead of TN. So that's in-plane switching instead of twisted pneumatic, which means I have good viewing angles all throughout. It's ultra thin, and it also has FreeSync, and I don't have a NVIDIA card, so I want FreeSync. I don't need the G-Sync. If this doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. I'm just listing my specs for posterity's sake. I also have a Logitech C920 camera, which I will consider using, but I'm not really sure if and when. I've got a Blue Yeti mic, got a pop filter and an arm on it. I use an Xbox One controller. I have an Xbox One, so I use one. My keyboard is a imitation blue EagleTech picked it off Amazon for like 30 to 40 bucks. I could have gotten a better name brand, and indeed I'm looking at one, but honestly, it's an excellent keyboard. I have a SteelSeries eye tracker, a Sentry is what they're called. I'd like to use it even for this game, but I just have to worry about the logistics of setting it up. My headphones are AKG K52. They're decent. They're not bad cans. They have reasonable noise canceling. Got them for like $35, and I couldn't be happier, honestly. My mouse is honestly one of the nicer parts of this setup. It's a Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum. It's the best mouse I've ever used in my life. 11 customizable buttons. Any mouse gameplay I use is tremendously valued. Although I won't be using it mainly for this game. In ensuing games with keyboard and mouse, it will be very helpful to map them. And also, just the on-the-fly DPI switching is amazing. I have Creative Pebble 2.0 speakers. They're really great. I've got some wrist rests for both my mouse and my keyboard on top of an XXL gaming mousepad, which comfortably fits a lot of stuff on it. It's huge. I have a gaming chair. It's a Furwood office gaming chair. Paid like 60 bucks for it. Like the bucket style. It's very comfy and spacious. I would recommend it. I have an Ameriwood L-shaped black oak desk. A lot of the stuff I own is black. Sort of the theme of my room is black and a little bit of purple, some white and brown. And just to keep my PC off the ground, I have a Vivo ATX rolling case. So it's on casters. It's on carpet, so I don't want it to just be a vacuum for all of the lint and whatnot for the carpet. And I'll go through this. This other one's my baby too. I have an HP Omen laptop. This is Tasha, named after one of my childhood dogs that has passed away. That's got a NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti. The CPU is great. It's a 7700 HQ. It's got 12 gigs of DDR 2400 RAM. It's 15.6 inches, which is a little small for me. I like 17.3. However, this draws a big distinction between my monitor and this. It's anti-glare, 1920 by 1080 IPS, which is really great. It's got I just use a little ancillary mouse for my peripheral. It's a PicTech gaming mouse. Picked it up for like 15 bucks off of Amazon a year or two ago. It's great. On-the-fly DPI switching and a couple extra buttons. It's helpful. It's not quite Proteus Spectrum, but it's great. I use Polk Melee headphones for that. Those are from the Xbox 360 generation, but they have fantastic noise canceling. They just feel really comfy. I use a Redragon Kumara imitation MX Green, so it's got some clicky clack to it. I have a Topmate C302 cooling pad under it, just in case I feel like it's getting hot or it's under serious load. I can deal with that quite handily. I also use an Xbox 360 controller for that, or my other Xbox One. I have an Xbox One Elite, but it's still kind of boxed up. I'm thinking about even selling it. But I love the satellite D-pad on it. Then I have two other laptops. One's just an HP Pavilion with R5 graphics. It's got 12 gigs of DDR3 RAM, full HD, 17.3. An old Logitech mouse, an old Dell keyboard. Got a Tascam TH02 headphones with it. Those are the ones that actually came with my Blue Yeti. They're not great, but they're not, for all purposes, they're pretty okay. And my quaternary setup is, by the way, my HP is named Alice, don't forget. Quaternary setup is Claudia. It's my oldest laptop I have, 17.3 inches. I've got a monitor on it because it has some vertical artifacting. Just because the screen is so old. That thing's like 7 years old. It's a tank. There's 8 gigs of RAM in there that I remember. I didn't even write down my stats for it, but it's okay. The graphics card is actually better than my HP Pavilion. There's R7 in there. But those are just two like browsing laptops. But if I ever have to stream on them, there's some games that I can play on there. So specifically the games I like to play, I have a pretty strong roguelike bent in games with high replayability with the basis of skill, technique, and or knowledge, of which I identify several factors. A high skill game is a game that you have to identify all the things. Like, I consider this game a very high skill game. A technical game requires a lot of technique and specific and rapid inputs of buttons, which I don't consider this game all that technical. Anyone can do what you'll see me do in this game, for example. And knowledge-based games. One that I would look to a lot would be something like Enter the Gungeon or Binding of Isaac. Those are knowledge-based games. The more you know about that game and certain items and enemies and whatnot, the better you are. Which, of course, comes through experience. But some games require knowledge and a sustained amount of that knowledge. Like, I haven't played this game in probably about 4 years. But I still remember a ton. I have a great long-term memory. Decent short-term memory. But I remember a ton about this. And in getting ready for this, I made a little Google Doc, which I'll link in the ensuing videos for this game. Not this video. But that also kind of refreshed my memory on everything. Because I was using the wiki as a reference to be like, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this, this is how I do it. I set up some tier lists and whatnot on there. Just to give an idea of my play style. I really like indie games, specifically. There's not any problem with AAA games. But they're not where I call home. And so I don't actually need quite the colossal specs that I possess at the moment. But I still have them regardless. So I should probably explain what a roguelike is. And a roguelike is... Well, there was a game called Rogue. I believe it was made in 1980 on the nose. And it had a lot of interesting emerging features that no one else had really done before. It was pretty much an ASCII game. But it was very seminal in what it was. So basically, a roguelike game is anything that's like Rogue, and it generally revolves around concepts of a run is contained in of itself. That means you play the run and that's it. It's just a run, and it's highly replayable. It features procedural generation, so no two runs are alike. When you die, you're dead. That's it. Permadeath. Then there's what's called roguelite, which is... This game is a roguelite. I prefer roguelites to roguelikes, even. Which are elements of rogue. So it's like a roguelike. Roguelite. And these will feature aspects such as permadeath, procedural generation, but one unifying feature among a lot of them is persistence. That is to say that from run to run, certain attributes, and it's highly dependent on the game, but certain attributes will carry over from run to run. And I really, really like that sense of progression. So this game has persistence in the form of leveling up and equipment, but this game is called a Roguevania, which is... I'm not even going to get into that right now. But I like games with high learning curves. And getting good at difficult games is fun, you know? So, most of this is going to be gameplay commentary, me talking over the game as I play it, so it's all as it happens. Instead of, say, something else. If I have any audio issues or video issues, or even if I have some people on playing with me, you know, I intend to have some friends over here and hang out, talk about some games and whatnot. It'll all be commentary as it happens. I wouldn't say live because this isn't being recorded live. More so that it will be post-commentary if it needs to be. Or if I deem it appropriate. So, quick comment on gameplay while speaking on gameplay commentary. I tend to err towards heavy min-maxing in literally any game, with patient and cautious play with occasional bouts of serious hyper-aggression. but identified. This game, I'll be even especially cautious in. But difficult games, I've learned to be a very cautious, calculated player. Contrasting with my fighting game style, which is kind of a twofold between hyper cautious and hyper aggressive. So what brought me to Rogue Legacy first? Well, there's a guy, Zorstream, that's his Twitch name. I was watching a speedrun of him, and he was very good at this game. I had already beaten it, but I hadn't 100%ed it. But I watched him play, and I was like, you know what, I was good at this game when I played it, and I could get a lot better. So I got better by watching him and absorbing it. And then ultimately did 100% achievements. I would say on my first try, there was no failure there. But just through attrition, I learned a lot about the game from him. And he's a phenomenal player. I seriously recommend you check him out. But doing that, in turn, made me like, oh, I want to do this again, but with other games. Maybe that I've beaten already, or maybe whatever I find, I'm gonna learn how to do, and I'm gonna get good at. So I did. And this is a recorded manifestation of that sentiment, which I had probably about 4 to 3 years ago. I don't know. Now, I do love achievements. I don't like games with too many achievements, although I do like Binding of Isaac, and Wrath of the Lamb is probably the achievement game I'll play after this, the original Binding of Isaac. But I hate deliberate, impossible ones where you gotta, like, for all of its positives, Dungeons of Dreadmore. One of them is you gotta get a drink with a member of the staff. You gotta go to a bar and meet someone, and then drink with them. Frozen Synapse, you have to play a developer of the game and then beat them. Which, that's a cool achievement. It just, I don't like ones that are that inattainable. Like, that truly is an achievement worthy of the achievement slot, but it's so bogged down by simple achievements that the value of it is dramatically lessened, in my opinion. Even though it is a cool achievement, and indeed a regular one. Like, you'd have to email them and be like, okay, let's play. It's also, relates some level to clout, which I'm not trying to possess clout and talk to people. If I was like a 1,000 streamer gamer on Twitch, then yeah, maybe someone would play me in a match on Frozen Synapse to bolster the game, especially considering Frozen Synapse 2 is out, I believe. But that's not something I'm really aiming to do. I also hate speedrun achievements. I like being good at games, but speedruns as a perfectionist are really, really, really awful for me. I make one mistake and I'll just want to quit. And even though you can save time, and speedrun achievements are often pretty generous, it's just, I hate it. Like I said, I want to play games with some level of finality. So I beat the game, I 100% it, and then I uninstall it. And I don't want them to be updated with new achievements. So I'll be playing games, especially at first, that I don't think are ever going to be updated again. I was wrong about Rogue Legacy, or I would have been. So like I said, the first few games I play are going to be ones that I've already conquered, as in 100% conquered. There's a difference between beating a game and conquering it, and with this game I have pulverized it. But there is a new achievement here on the horizon, so we'll see if I can do it. I'm very confident I can. This is just me booting it up for the first time here. I'll probably do a practice run, just a run or two to get the rust off, and then I'll record it, just to refamiliarize myself. And then eventually we'll stake claim in new territory. But I also even want to play games where it's unlikely that they'll be updated. That's content updates, DLC, or new achievements, which is the rarest of them. I really, really like mods, and I'll use them in a ton of games. I'm okay with exploits. Cheating is outright no, unless it's a game where I can't physically get achievements. I do have Steam Achievement Manager. Sue me. I'm about to get VAC banned right now. But I use that to already delete a lot of achievements that I had in 100% games already. So I'll be redoing that. yeah, like I said, I won't be cheating my way with mods, but it might alter gameplay of some things, and I might just arbitrarily pick mods and be like, okay, let's try this out. If I don't like it, I'll change it. Most of them will be aesthetic mods. Like if I play Darkest Dungeon, I might use a lot of aesthetic mods, but I don't want to use too many gameplay mods with that game. I have already 100%ed Darkest Dungeon, notwithstanding some of the newer DLC. I beat Crimson Court 100%. I didn't beat The Color of Madness. I own it, I just haven't even touched it yet. And that's about tears it on plans of that nature. Tentative plans, I have a lot of games I want to play. A lot. Roughly what I want to do, my tentative schedule is Rogue Legacy, and then I want to do a Pokemon Red Run. Not a Nuzlocke, because I don't think Nuzlockes are good. I like some ideas that they have. I like the permadeath. I like nicknaming your Pokemon. If you're not sure what a Nuzlocke is, I recommend you look it up without me having to explain it. I'm looking for one where I can either do no healing at centers or anywhere, except for compulsory ones, or just using one center if that proves itself to be impossible. No marts, you got to live off the land. No running from battles to make grinding harder. And I think it'll be cool because it's more about PP management, so tackle becomes a lot more valuable. If an enemy takes 4 tackles, then you just lost 4 PP, and it might be a while until you get that ether. I think it'll be really fun, and I'm gonna try it, and it'll definitely be a challenge. After that, Binding of Isaac, Wrath of the Lamb. Gonna 100% that. The hardest version, the 1.66 version, I believe, the Eternal one. I've already 100% of that, so it should be no problem. Thereafter, Dark Souls Remastered. I've 100% of the original Dark Souls, virtually no problem. But I don't own Remastered. I'll buy it just before. But I have the discount to get it for half price. But I'll be doing that. After that, maybe Westorado, a game that I've 100%ed that I actually wrote some 100% guides for. So you might see those floating around some places. Then Fallout New Vegas, then maybe the Mega Man Collection 1. La Mulana, Torchlight 1 is on my list. Final Fantasy 12, the International Zodiac Job System, which I'm so excited to play. I bought it. I haven't played it yet, but Witcher 3 I'll do. Capsized I'd like to play. I have a ton of indie games. Now I'm just naming names at this point. A lot of roguelites. I want to do Enter the Gungeon eventually, but that's my favorite roguelite. But like I said, I want to beat games 100% that are unlikely to be updated, and a lot of these are unlikely to be updated. So we'll work on those first. So that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in here. I know you had to listen to me ramble for a prolonged period of time. Actually, I'm just alt tabs. Yeah, 33 minutes. That's a good time to say, hey, here's my introduction. Well, I'll just practice my outro here, I guess. Don't feel the need to like, comment, or subscribe. View is the only metric that we need to see go up to develop and grow as a channel. Thank you for potentially coming on this ride as I get better as a gamer, which I kind of not crazy about the term. As a editor, commentator, content creator. All of these things I'm going to hopefully improve over time with. Hopefully my volume is pretty good. I'm looking at my OBS right now. That's the client I use is OBS. And my volume looks really nominal, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to check it out after this, and hopefully I don't have to adjust anything. I'm going to leave this one decisively unedited, but we'll see what editing I really require in the future. Well, thanks for checking me out, and please go ahead and check out my Rogue Legacy playthrough upcoming very soon. This is Gaff for John196, and I'll see you soon.